The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hi.
Are you okay?
There's so much, Andy. There's so much. All this has done, the practice for the gear up for this podcast has just overwhelmed me with the injustice in the world and the inadequacy and irrelevancy of an awards show for art.
Sure.
I'm furious.
Okay, good talk. So here's what we're doing today, folks. Here's what we're doing today.
Andy's going to talk all by himself. I refuse to speak during the rest of this podcast.
Excellent. That I see no way that plan can fail, except I wouldn't listen to me talk. So, So here's the deal.
Andy,
Yes.
Is the podcast over yet? Because I talked. No.
You're
Okay.
the worst. Okay.
I am pretty bad.
So, folks, this Sunday, the Oscars, a little show Phil likes to call the Oscars is showing, and while we don't really believe in giving awards for art, he feels that more strongly than I do, but I don't fundamentally disagree with him. We can still work up anger over things that weren't included as nominated films.
It's the worst part of being. It's the worst thing about me.
You're right.
It's the worst thing.
It is
you
the single
in
worst
this
thing.
situation. It might be. It might be. I mean, I'll tell you what. Because there aren't that many things wrong with me.
It's true.
The thing is, you bring out the worst in me.
Why do you think I asked you to co-host this podcast with me? So I could torment you.
To our mutual damnation.
It's our own personal version of No Exit. Hell is other people.
Hell is Andy and Phil.
That's right. Welcome to Second Breakfast, everybody. So what we're gonna do? We're not gonna call them the word the people usually call them when someone didn't get nominated or something didn't get nominated. But for all the major categories, we're going to tell you a film or a person or a something that we feel was overlooked and perhaps underloved.
Yes.
Yes. So
I will acknowledge that I am doing this under protest because of the reason you said, which is that nothing deserves an Academy Award because an Academy Award is stupid. So I'm going to play the game, and Andy and I are going to do another podcast about the Oscars, and then when the Oscars are playing, Andy and I are going to be on Facebook being like, "Ooh, look at her dress!" and like, "Oh, I can't believe
that's what we're going to be doing." I'm pretty sure we'd.
I mean, I'll be saying that.
Okay, all right.
Because I'm comfortable with myself and with the way women dress at Oscars.
I'll
be saying that.
Uncomfortable with it. I just don't find it interesting.
It's so hard to work with you sometimes, but the point is the same, which is that I want to make clear as we do this, Andy and I are looking at it like this. This is not this movie should have been nominated. That's not what we are saying. We are suggesting simply that, in fact, as a critique of the whole system, by saying that this movie deserves this merit and these ones don't, they're missing out on the reality that there are some really wonderful things that are just wonderful in and of themselves. And we just want to throw a little extra love at some things that haven't been loved up during the critical season.
Indeed.
The awards season. Does that make sense?
Yes. You make good sense.
Did you see that quote that I put up earlier that Wesley Morris, the film critic from Grantland said?
Yes.
It's going to be a great night for watching people give themselves things.
Yes.
So anyways, okay.
So our first category, Best Picture. Talking.
Oh, we're going. Wow. I didn't realize we were starting at the top.
Oh, I mean, we don't have to.
I'm comfortable. Well, here's the deal. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying, are people really gonna? If we get to the end and we're like, and finally, Best Supporting Actress.
Heck yeah.
You think?
It's us, dude.
Well, let's find out.
We have a relatively small but rabid fan base.
This is a very strange decision to make. Let's make it.
All right. I'm a strange guy. Best Picture. What's your overlooked movie or movies or
My 3 favorite movies of the year did not get any attention during the awards season.
I think they might be my 3 movies. Go for it.
Inside Llewyn Davis, Short Term 12,
Bing.
Short Term 12,
Bing.
and Mud.
Yep. Yes.
And they were unquestionably my 3 favorite movies of the year.
Yes.
Like, not even like, I think like my 4th and 5th favorites got nominated. But I'm only one of the directors of one of those got nominated. I'm convinced that if your movie did not get nominated for Best Director, you do not have a shot at Best Film.
I think history has actually borne that out.
Well, it's a relatively brief history of having more nominees, but I think you are correct.
Although
I know that I used to do it way back in the day.
Right. Although Argo just last year, so there's that.
I'm not suggesting that you can win Best. Wait, did Argo win? Was Ben Affleck not even nominated for Best
Wasn't
Director?
even nominated.
What a disaster!
I know. Oscars.
This is my
Way to
point.
go.
It's just dumb. I'm furious because was Argo the best movie of the year last year? For some people, it's just a ridiculous statement. I'm just furious. Mud, Short Term 12, Inside Llewyn Davis. All 3 of those made me glad to be a human who sees things with his eyes and hears things with his ears and cries things out of those eyes and
Right.
and then cleans his ears. I don't know. I'm done with the eye-ear thing. But my point is, those 3 movies made me like. I would point to those. For me, I would point to those, Her, and Wolf of Wall Street. Those 5, me, and I would say those 5 movies. I'd throw Frozen in there at this point because I've seen it so many times. 6 movies. 6. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Because I'd say those 6 movies show to me why I go to the movies and what makes me joyous in movie going.
Yes.
And for that, and the best part, Andy, about Short Term 12, have you experienced this? I've just been recommending it left and right to people that don't like. You know how we are normally. I mean, you and I think, are the same, which is that we actually won't recommend movies to people as a like. I mean, there are people who watch our podcast and therefore enter into our insanity.
Indeed.
But the person on the street says, like, give me a movie to see, and I'm very careful with that because I don't think all people will like all the movies I like.
That's right.
Like, specifically, I don't recommend Wolf of Wall Street to people, and yet it is easily one of my favorite movies of last year.
Sure.
And I don't recommend it to people.
Sure.
I have been recommending Short Term 12 to all sorts of people, and it makes me feel so great. And Mud, because I'm like, oh, here's a movie you haven't seen that I guarantee you'll love.
Yes, I have gotten so much good feedback on Mud. Not as much Short Term 12, just because I feel like it's still hard to find, and like I've recommended it to people that I know haven't seen it yet, but I know they'll love it when they do. I know they'll love it when they, you know what I mean? I know it.
Yeah, I do.
And yes, that's well said. You know what other movies? I mean, I guess I've only recently started looking at it that way and sort of like taking stock and thinking about it. But the only other 2 movies, as much as Mud and Short Term 12, that I can think of that are like, you probably didn't see this movie and you are going to love it, I guarantee it, are Warrior and The Grey.
Yep.
And you know what? When that's a pretty good foursome of. It's a fearsome foursome of.
And there's movies like The Grey that I'll only recommend to certain people. Mm-hmm. I would only recommend Inside Llewyn Davis to certain people.
Okay.
Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen brothers have reached that place for me where it's like, I really don't care what you think, and I'm not even going to recommend their movies to people because because people who don't like them really don't like them, and then they somehow blame me, and it's like, it's not my fault for you. I can't.
Right.
I don't know how to help the inside of your soul. I tried, but it didn't work.
Sure. Fair.
Anyways,
so that's. I mean, I'm good. I could talk about all 3 of those movies forever, and we have talked about those 3 movies quite a bit. And I am sure we'll continue.
All I know is Inside Llewyn Davis is coming out on Blu-ray in like a minute.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited because I only got to see it once in the theaters. I meant to see it more times, and I just.
Sure.
What movie is that where the guy's like, we just didn't have the time? Oh, it was Godfather. I just didn't. There was so much. I just didn't have the time.
Well,
we'll get there. We'll get there, Papa. We'll get there someday.
Phil, this is the business we've chosen. Okay, moving on. Moving on to directing. What directors unfairly overlooked Perhaps
Um,
underloved.
I'm going to pick. I'm
I
going
hope
to
so.
pick. I'm going to pick something from the movies that were nominated. Actually,
Okay.
I just think Spike Jones should. I think Spike Jones directing in Her is so special.
Yes, that is. I have several here as well, like I did with Picture, but Spike Jonze is one of them. He's. Yes.
I mean, first of all, because I don't believe that the director in the film category can be I mean, I know it theoretically can be separated, but it's very difficult for me. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I believe you, but only kind of. I hear the argument, and I go, I recognize that what you're saying is coherent. But
Right.
as one of my teachers in seminary once said, I am not so persuaded.
That's fair.
So that is. I think Spike Jonze, obviously, any of the three that I mentioned, Inside Llewyn Davis, Mud, Short Term 12, any of the directors of those movies. But I think Spike Jonze should have been nominated big time. Or we're not using that language. I was quite impressed with Spike Jonze and the work that he did with Her. I thought it was such a fine line that was created with his hymness of the performance that he brought out of Joaquin Phoenix, the story that he told, the images that he was able to pull out, and the performance he got out of Scarlett Johansson. The fact he did a really interesting trick this time, Andy. Are you ready for it?
What's that?
You know how he likes to make pretty women look ugly?
Mm-hmm.
He managed to make you think that he was going to make Amy Adams ugly with her hair, and then somehow managed to make her ugly and then adorable. Like she's never ugly, because come on, because like you can't make Amy Adams ugly. It's
Sure.
impossible. But
Sure.
like the what he did with Cameron Diaz in Being John Malkovich.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He loves to do that, right?
Yeah, agree.
And in this movie, he like made you think he was going to do it, and she does look really kind of goofy. But because you spend so much time with her and she's so lovely, you're like, oh, that's right, I love you. Spike Jonze, man.
Agreed.
Spike Jonze is becoming a masterful director.
Agreed. Do you have others? Is that
That's
your
all I want to
okay.
say. That's all I want to say.
So I will briefly point out again the movie Mud. Jeff Nichols did just. Yeah, I mean, this word gets thrown around too much. It's a masterpiece. This movie is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And he, I mean, he deals in this movie with action, with drama, with comedy, with child actors, with actors of varying star powers and experiences, and he crafts a movie that does not put a foot wrong, and it's just
Well said.
it's great. It's great. And my last overlooked directing performance, and I think I might actually get a little bit of pushback from you on this.
Terrible call. Awful.
I am ashamed. Edgar Wright for The World's End.
Huh.
I
You're not
think
going to get any pushback from me.
I think this movie. I said this to you, and I said it. I may have said it on the podcast. This movie is kind of a miracle because it stars a lot of people that aren't actually all that likable, and it is it shows you the struggle literally to save the human race while you are forcing yourself to ask the question, exactly how much do we need to be, should we be saved? Right? Like,
Right.
If these are the people who are our champions, why exactly are we worthy? And
Right.
and he does it in a way that, just like literally all of his other movies, the other two Blood and Ice Cream trilogy movies, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz with Scott Pilgrim, he does it in a way where you don't notice that that's what he's doing. You don't notice that he's actually making you think about stuff. And that's such a cliche, like, ooh, Steven Spielberg is dazzling you, but he's actually making you think about family, and I get that. But it's like, there's something really special going on, and The World's End will come up later for me as well. And it is, I think, probably the least enjoyable of the three of the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, or Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy to watch. But I think it might be, and I can't call it the best movie because then we're getting into awards for film
Sure.
and blah. But I think it might be, and maybe this is all a way for me to be as pretentious as I can possibly be, I think it might be the most mature of the three movies. It is.
Okay.
It is a filmmaker who is, and I said this months ago, and I'll say it again. It's time to start talking about him in terms of he's knocking on the door of, if he continues the way he's going, he'll be one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, and it's difficult for me because I just didn't enjoy this movie to the level you did. That being said, your enthusiasm and fervor combined with my love of Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is making me want to. I know I'll see it again and give it more chances.
Sure.
And I didn't dislike it.
I know. I understand.
But I was just not as impressed as you are. And I think you're right. Maybe it's the kind of movies Edgar Wright chooses to make. For instance, his next movie is going to be a comic book movie called Ant-Man. that he doesn't get thrown into that category of the greats. When I tell people Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was my favorite movie of that year, it wasn't considered a quote-unquote great movie.
Right.
Because he's such a, in my mind, a pop filmmaker. But he's very smart.
Right.
It's very intelligent filmmaking. It isn't brainless. It's pop. It's pop the way the Beatles were pop, not the way like Justin Timberlake is pop.
Right, and it's
like
also,
it's pop and it's substantial, which
Well
I know is
said.
people say pop isn't substantial by nature, but there is this thing that like there's a way that something can like be pop culture oriented and yet should seem light and frivolous and yet manages to be substantial at the same time.
Well, I agree with you, and I think Phil, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's really, I think that's a better way of saying what I was trying to say when I invoked Spielberg. Because 35 years ago, what were people saying about Spielberg?
I know. I just wonder if it's going to take Edgar Wright making the turn,
right,
towards.
Right.
But and Spielberg, they said that, but I mean, he did get nominated for. Well, no, did he get nominated for Jaws? Or Jaws got nominated for Best Picture and he didn't. But I don't know. I guess what I'm thinking is Spielberg always had it in him that he was going to make serious movies. No.
Sure.
And I don't know if, I mean, Edgar Wright could go his whole life not. But then again, look, dude, we just lost Harold Ramis. And Harold Ramis was never going to win any awards.
Right.
And yet he did more to shape he did as much to shape the landscape of current cinema as Spielberg. Well, I guess not as much, but maybe.
I think you should stick with that statement. I think I agree with you.
know.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's all I'm going to say for now.
Okay. Moving on. Best actor. Best actor.
Best actor.
Can I go?
Please do.
I'm going to start with one that I think you might have. And this is the last category where I have more than one overlooked entity. Joaquin Phoenix in Her.
Oh, that's it.
I don't. Again, awards for art are stupid. Awards for art are stupid, and I'm not saying that the. And by the way, this category is a murderer's row. This is
literally people. All the people on the list are a row of people, and they've all killed somebody in cold blood.
Yes, no, that's true. That's true. You don't want to know what I know about Bruce Dern.
I was 12 months in the bush. I could snap your neck like a twig.
So I'm certainly not saying, person X deserves to be kicked out so that Joaquin Phoenix can be nominated. But I don't know. I'm upset about the I have three names here. I'm upset about the other two names. But the thing about Joaquin Phoenix's performance in Her is I don't know what metric you're using if he doesn't make the cut. I don't know how you're evaluating it.
It was my favorite male performance of the year.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
It was
Me too.
For me, Joaquin Phoenix's performance in Her was the kind of performance, along with The Master, which I didn't love, but his performance in it. And that last year,
Yeah.
and then this year, where Joaquin Phoenix needs, I mean, basically what you just said about Edgar Wright, I'm about to say about Joaquin Phoenix. These two movies, you need to start asking, is there a better actor living and working today? Now, you might answer yes, and you might say something like Daniel Day-Lewis or you know, whatever you want to say, but it has to be asked. It has to be asked when you see him perform. His performance in Her is spellbinding. It is a miracle.
Yes.
The work he does in this movie is miraculous, and awards for art are dumb. Awards for art are dumb. But I want to say that this performance is special.
Yep.
Yeah. What else do you want to say?
I want to point out in much the same way that I think Edgar Wright was overlooked for the directing. I think Simon Pegg's performance in The World's End. I think when you watch this movie again, you're gonna see, like, I've always liked Simon Pegg as an actor, but he grows up in this movie. He is eminently unlikable. Like, he's just unlikable. And it's not a show. It's not an actor winking. He is fully a jerk. And yet you see that it comes from there are so many layers, man. There's so many layers. Like,
I'm not into time, man.
like, he's got so much pain. He's got so much pain, and you see that this, like, hard, awful, jerky shell comes from the pain that he has of the feeling that he has wasted his life and he is cast about without realizing, without finding the thing he was meant to do, finding the thing that would help him grow up. It is, and yet charismatic, and you instantly see why he's the leader of the gang, and like,
I think that's the part I had the hardest time with when I was watching it. But that's a whole other. You know what? But you're right about his performance. I want to talk to you more about that later. I'm not going to do that on camera.
Okay,
I want to
fair
talk to you more about that later.
And my last overlooked performance of the year, Michael B. Jordan in Fruitvale Station. I mean,
Which I still haven't seen.
it is a very good movie. It is not, I wouldn't say it's a movie you must see immediately, but
I'm glad you didn't say that because it's too late.
That's true. But the three main performances, Michael B. Jordan, the woman who plays his girlfriend, and I think is it Octavia Spencer who plays his mom?
It is.
Those three performances are they're really something. And Michael B. Jordan, I just, dude, you're my jam. I will watch you do anything. And if you bring 1/10 of the talent to it that you brought to Fruitvale Station, I will love it. You are that good.
There's a few things I won't watch him do, but we won't get into that right now. My list.
It's not okay. It's not what you just did. It's not okay. I'm not okay.
It's a little okay. Okay.
We're not okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a not surprising. I have three not surprising ones and a surprising one.
I can't wait.
Okay. Not surprising for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar Isaac in Inside Llewyn Davis,
Sure.
because he manages to be. I mean, I think he does more successfully what you were just describing, from what you were describing from what do you call it?
World's End.
Yeah, because he manages to, like, how do you describe it? He manages to, you can see why people hate him and why they love him at the exact same time.
Yep.
He manages to walk that line the entire movie in a way without being. And the thing that's beautiful about Llewyn Davis as a character, and I give this to Oscar Isaac in concert with the Coen brothers, is that the reason people love him is not because of something he does to make them love him. And what I mean by that is he's not trying to put on a show.
Right.
Simon Pegg's character, and this is fine, it's not a critique, it's the way they wrote it. He has this sort of persona that makes people, like, even as they hate him, they can't help but love him, and it drives them nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Llewyn Davis's attractiveness is completely incomprehensible and yet totally believable. And not to mention the fact that he sang and played all of the music on that, which is a skill that like should be rewarded if you were to reward art, which we don't believe in.
Right. Awards for artists.
For him to do that, because rewards for artists are stupid, to do things like that is it just blows my mind. That's an obvious one. Here's two more obvious ones. Ty Sheridan,
Love
the
it.
main boy in Mud,
So good.
should have been nominated for it. Okay, I don't believe in that. If there were such a thing as deserving an award, Ty Sheridan would get 17 of them. Okay? He would have to hold it in the same hand as Matthew McConaughey was holding one for Mud, because together they had a beautiful performance.
Agreed.
Okay.
Well said.
And then finally, my surprising pick for Overlooked.
Okay.
I'm going to say Leonardo DiCaprio for Wolf of Wall Street. And I know what you're thinking. Phil, he was nominated for an Oscar for this.
Phil.
Yes.
That is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That yes.
I
you got
don't
it. One.
care, because his performance is beyond amazing. Of the five that are there, the one I think should win, won't win, and is a performance that I think should be considered one of the great male performances of his. Great performances of his career. One of the great. It should be bigger. Like, I almost feel like he got the nod, and everyone was like, "That's the deal." He got the nod, and then moved on.
That's right.
But the fact that people aren't actually talking about him seriously for the win tells me it's an underappreciated nomination, if that makes any sense.
Well said.
So
nice.
Also, and before I forget, Tom freaking Hanks and Captain Phillips. Oh my gosh!
I still have not seen it. I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it.
I feel like he has been. It's the first time in years where I feel like it wasn't him trying to do a great performance. It was just him acting.
Nice.
And it just.
Okay.
I walked out of it being like, well, hand that guy many awards then, and then they didn't. But no one listens to me, it turns out. No one called me.
We probably shouldn't sit outside the MPAA's office going, awards for art are stupid.
Right.
And then going down the road to the Academy.
Awards for art are stupid, but give one to Tom Hanks anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, nope.
It does.
Nope.
It undercuts our credibility. It's true. Actress in a leading role. The SS Minnow, James.
Ready? Do you want to say it at the same time? 1, 2,
3.
Brie Larson.
Yes. Short term 12. Yes.
My favorite performance of the year.
Yep.
I was watching Wesley Morris and Chris Connolly today talk about the Best Actress race, and they were saying that Wesley Morris called Cate Blanchett's performance in Blue Jasmine the best performance of the year, period.
Okay.
I haven't seen Blue Jasmine.
Okay.
So and Cate Blanchett is one of my favorite actors of all time, so
Yep.
I believe him. What my eyeballs have seen so far, Brie Larson's performance in Short Term 12 is my favorite thing that I've seen.
Yeah.
That's my first. Do you have any other ones?
I don't. I will respond to your Cate Blanchett comment or observation, but not in this podcast. Perhaps in the next podcast. Someday.
Okay.
What it boils down to, Phil, frankly, is that awards for art are stupid. What else do you have?
Shailene Woodley for The Spectacular Now.
Oh, well said.
I just love her in that movie.
She's wonderful. She is spectacular now.
She's spectacular right now.
Right now. That moment, was she spectacular?
Now.
Yes.
We're looking at now.
When will then be now? Soon.
Yep, and she's wonderful.
Agreed. Moving to the... Oh, did you have others? Are you good?
Nope. Good.
Moving to the supporting roles. Best actor in a supporting role. Do you have an overlooked...
In what kind of role, Andy?
Supporting.
Okay, so one that supports.
A supporting role.
Okay. You're gonna make me cough up my own blood.
Supporting role.
Jacob Laughlin, who plays Neckbone in Mud. I don't think you people understand how much I loved Mud.
Yes, it's true.
I also, by the way, and it's one of those things that didn't get acknowledged, but if you had told me that Ray McKinnon, who is the boy's dad in Mud, was nominated for an award for that, I'd say, yep, that's right. That makes sense.
You ready for this? My supporting actor overlook?
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey as Mud.
I know. Well, I couldn't decide if he was actor or supporting, whatever, but I get it.
Like I know why the push this year for McConaughey was Dallas Buyers Club. I get it.
Dallas Buyers Club, which was such a mediocre movie, was like, and he did a great job. No question. Great job. No question. But it was like they made a laundry list of the things that you needed to do to win an Oscar and then just checked them off.
It's true. You're right.
Anyways, continue about Mud and Matthew McConaughey.
That's it. I love that you said Jacob Laughlin. Love it.
You're welcome. I would not have been offended if the guy from Short Term 12 was nominated, though I cannot remember his name.
Agreed. Yes.
So maybe you don't give someone a nomination if you can't remember their name. And
else?
Nominated for...
You know who else from Short Term 12? Is it Keith Stansfield? Marcus. The tall kid. I know. I
also join in what many people say, which is that Matthew McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street, for his 5 minutes in that movie, it wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been offended. I wouldn't have been offended if he'd been not. If like I would have been like, what? Okay,
right.
Like that would have been the whole conversation.
Agreed.
What? Okay, got it.
Totes agreed.
All right.
Actress in a supporting role.
You go first.
Carey Mulligan in Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh man. Oh, doctor.
She is. I have not seen An Education, and everyone says that she is amazing in that, and she was nominated for it, and yada yada yada. I get it. I will see it. She is marvelous. The first thing I saw her in, I think, was Shame.
Really?
Yes, and she's amazing in it, and heartbreaking, and it just punches
you
in the face.
Did you see An Education?
Are you listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth?
You just said that, didn't you? Actually, honestly, I was looking for something.
Said it.
I was looking for something on my computer. I apologize. Continue.
That's okay. Phil,
I feel a little bad.
Phil, have you recently looked for something on your computer?
Okay. All right. I feel terrible about everything that I am.
My job here is done. This has been another Second
worries.
Breakfast podcast. Okay. She is everything you said about Oscar Isaac's performance. You see why people love him and hate him at the same time. She is the clearest manifestation of those conflicting feelings, and she is perfect. She's perfect. She's amazing in that movie. She just is. That's what I got.
I think this was a harder category for me because I felt like basically the ones that got nominated I was really happy with for the most part.
Me too.
I think I'm one of those people who thinks that Scarlett Johansson should have been nominated for her voice work on her.
Me too.
Oh wait, except that I don't believe in awards for art, and Academy Award nominations are stupid.
I gotta be honest,
I think that Scarlett Johansson's work in Her is very special.
I do too.
Very special.
I'm kind of sad I didn't mention it for leading actress. I
Yeah, I hear that. And that's, it's like, yeah.
Because supporting actress in that movie, but trust me, this is the smallest of quibbles. I'm just saying that, a supporting actress in that movie would seem to be like Amy Adams to me. Whereas
and by the way,
Johansson is everywhere in that movie.
And if we were going to give it to, what do we call those things? If we were going to give it to a voice work person,
yes,
there's a part of me that would want to say Kristen Bell for Frozen.
Nice.
Because honestly, who knew?
I knew.
She's okay. Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you the Veronica Mars fan? Are you the person who's?
Does she sing like that in Veronica Mars?
No.
But okay. Because who knew she could do that? That's kind of my point.
I gotcha. Okay.
Is Singing and it's like what Oscar Isaac does, although he is on camera the whole time. But like, part of the amazingness is, wow, did you know she could do that?
No, I agree.
For me.
Agreed.
I you know, I wouldn't be bothered. I thought Jennifer Garner was phenomenal in Dallas Buyers Club.
Yes, agreed.
Do you know what's really interesting to me? That
What's
Gravity could not be nominated for Best Supporting anything.
Right.
That is all.
So something I love. Are you familiar with the Bechdel test? It's the
Yes.
yes. It's the like. It's
Tell
the
other-
so the Bechdel test is, to pass the Bechdel test, you have to have three things. You have to have more than one woman in a movie. The two women have to talk to each other in the movie, and the third thing is their conversation has to be about something other than a man. Right?
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Who would want to watch that rubbish?
I hate you. Ridiculous, both that it exists and, frankly, that it has to exist, because, frankly, I mean,
Not enough movies actually pass the test.
not enough movies pass the test. Gravity, which is like the culmination of female empowerment throughout the ages on celluloid, does not pass the Bechdel test because
Because there's
only
no
her.
men. Right, because there's only her, there's no other woman. There's only one woman and one man.
And she doesn't have a conversation with herself. Although
Yeah.
she does, but she doesn't. Not in the way that. So it's interesting to sort of see. So the Bechdel test actually has a website, and they kind of don't know what to do with this movie, because they're like, this totally is wonderful, but it doesn't pass our test, and we're struggling with that.
That's why websites that deal with that are lame and a waste of time.
Sure. Okay.
But God still loves them. That's all I
Sure.
got.
Okay.
That's all I got. Sometimes that's all you got with people. No,
Okay.
God loves you. Let's move on. Okay.
Shall we move on to the screenplays? Screenplays.
Can we? Can we?
Let's. Best adapted screenplay. Do you have an overlooked adapted screenplay?
Short Term 12 was adapted from an earlier short film.
Nice. I like it. I like it.
And I think the beauty of how Short Term 12 is written is that it manages to be simple and yet complex. It manages to write things it manages to write situations that are inherently cinematic and potentially cliche because they're so cinematic, and yet writes them in such a way that they feel every bit as authentic as if they were happening right in that moment.
Well said.
And things like a guy breaking into song or rap or whatever, or the way that it begins and it ends with a bookend, that and the
Right.
stories that are told as stories being told, and the what they do with the car, with the person's car, with the you know what I'm talking about, what they do to that car.
Yes. Yes.
All of that stuff is like, oh, you know, it'd be really cool if a movie had this.
Well said.
And yet it completely is written in a way that feels right. Mud feels like if Mark Twain were alive and writing movies.
Well said.
But you know what? But that's best. I'm sorry. That's best original, not best adapted. So I
Yep.
shouldn't have even brought that up. So that's my best. That's my best adapted conversation.
I like it. I like it. Mine, The Spectacular Now.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize it was adapted, or I guess I did and I forgot.
It's a novel. I believe it's a young adult novel, and it is, and
It doesn't feel like a young adult movie. It feels just like a movie.
It's just a movie. It's just a movie, and it's wonderful. And while the performances are stellar, the words they say help make them so. The conversation, the last conversation that Miles Teller has with Bob Odenkirk in that movie is special. It's special, and it's a
Yep.
conversation I'd never seen before in the movies.
Well said.
I'd never seen that conversation before. And it's not like it's not some big and grandiose and theatrical thing. I just never seen that conversation before, and it was really well done. So kudos to that. And that's what
Well
I got.
done.
Original screenplay, sir.
Coen Brothers, come on. I love that writing. I love that they wrote a movie about everything and nothing that begins and ends the same in a cycle. We have a friend, by the way, that we're going to have on the podcast at some point to talk about this movie because he insists that the movie is basically the tale of Sisyphus told in movie form. But even if he's wrong, it doesn't matter if he's wrong or right. The Coen brothers make movies that make people think about Sisyphus and Ulysses by accident while listening to Bob Dylan. You can't, that's not a real thing. Like, that's not a thing you can do to someone's brain, and yet it's what they did.
Sure.
Like, that is, we just forget. Like, they're so consistently wonderful that we just don't even think about it anymore.
It's true. That's true.
That's all I want to say.
For me, a brand new movie, not a brand new movie, but a movie I haven't talked about yet, Frances Ha. Frances Ha.
Okay.
This is a movie, and the reason I chose it, and I was considering Inside Llewyn Davis, but A, I figured you'd probably say it, and B...
You're welcome, America.
I thank you, and America thanks you. Frances Ha is filled, and I mean to the brim, with people that if I met in person, I would probably want to punch in the throat. And yet, none more so than the main character, and yet... And it is partially Greta Gerwig's performance as Frances that makes her lovable even so. But frankly, she co-wrote it with Noah Baumbach. And so she takes credit for it on that side of it too. And and it is theatrical like old school Woody Allen is. It is arch. It is, and yet there's very little about it that is quote unquote naturalistic, and yet it feels so real, and you just want to like hug Frances and also get her like a really, really useful internship or something. Like so you like help her along her way.
Hearing you say all this, it drives me a little crazy that you've never seen a Whit Stillman movie. I just can't wait for you. Like, I
understand.
Mr. Sees Everything. It just drives me like you've got to just. There's only 4 of them.
I'll get there.
You could be done tomorrow. And the most recent one was I just thought so lovely, and Greta Gerwig, aka Theodora Mosby, is in it. And
well said.
Yeah. So I think that's of a deal.
Sure. Best animated feature. Overlooked.
Easy for me.
Yeah.
Easy.
Me too.
I think my favorite animated feature this year was well. First of all, let me be clear. In an award ceremony for art, which I think we have stated, I'm not sure, so let me be clear, is stupid.
Yep.
It is quadruply stupid to have a best animated feature category.
Okay.
It is just deeply. I want to use derogatory terms that would make this an R-rated podcast and make me sound insensitive to minorities and people with special needs. No, it's just infuriating. It makes me so mad. It's either best or it's not. It's either belongs in the category or it doesn't. And by the way, having a best animated feature category immediately makes animated features less, puts them on a lower level than live action features.
Yes, that's true.
And that is insulting beyond. Okay, here's the deal. My favorite animated feature of last year was Frozen.
Uh-huh.
My second favorite animated feature of last year was Monsters University.
Yep.
And I haven't seen the Miyazaki one.
Right.
And my third favorite animated feature of last year was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, Electric Boogaloo, which was fantastic. Now, I grant you that Despicable Me 2, Electric Boogaloo was probably better than the first one. But it's riding this weird wave of Minion/Steve Carell love. Well, I guess it's not a very weird wave. It's a fantastic wave of yellow one-eyed creatures and Steve Carell's genius. That being said, Monsters University is an underrated Pixar film. I will fight anyone on that, preferably with swords and pickaxes. And And Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 is like an unsung hero of 2013. That's all I want to say about it. You may speak.
Preferably pickaxes? Like preferably?
I listen, don't question the way I fight.
I think I just did.
I know,
know
and I
what?
told you not, and I told you not to.
And I did it anyway.
And at this point, Andy, this would be the point at which if you were my daughter, I would put you in timeout.
Dang it.
So,
So
go ahead.
I don't have anything to add. Monsters University. It's not top tier Pixar, but it's not like the rest of the. It should be in there. It should be in there.
Should.
Period. Our last category, the wild card category. This is literally anything else that we want to talk about that we think was overlooked. Do you have a wild card thing that was overlooked?
I do, Andy. I do.
Tell me what it is.
It's in the days when Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Aladdin were out, those Alan Menken, Howard Ashman days.
Mm-hmm.
The Academy Awards were nominating more than one song from each movie. There are at least 3 other songs from Frozen that very easily could have been nominated in this category.
Nice. I like
I
it.
get that Let It Go is what it is, but Love is an Open Door is phenomenal. For the First Time in Forever is just fantastic. And frankly, Josh Gad's performance in Summer is
Yes.
is such a secret linchpin to the whole movie. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
It's a secret linchpin, and it's and I just dream of having seen him sing that at the Oscars. Although I'm not going to sure if they're going to even do that this year. That's one of my wild cards. I have one other wild card for you.
Go for it.
Best documentary feature, Room 237, released in 2013. Should have been mentioned in things from people. I can't say enough about it.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay. My wild card overlooked thing. I'm gonna go back to Francis Ha for cinematography. The best New York City has ever looked in film is Woody Allen's Manhattan.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think that's indisputable. Or is it? That is how beautiful New York City looks. Yeah. No. I still think I give it to Manhattan, and I'm playing it up.
The thing I just said, I take it back immediately. But
here's the deal. New York has, except for the movie Manhattan, New York has never looked better on film. The other way I can say it, the way that I can say it for people who have not seen Manhattan and What's the Matter with You, but who have seen a lot of movies this past year. Nebraska, gorgeous movie, nominated for cinematography. Might not be the best looking black and white movie that I saw last year. It might be Francis Ha. That's how beautiful Francis Ha looks.
all right.
And I wish it hadn't been overlooked.
Wish.
I wish that. That's what I wish.
Fantastic.
And there we go. Folks, you got anything else, Phil? We done? We good?
There is something that I feel like I haven't made clear, and I'm not.
Oh boy.
I don't need that from you. I really don't.
I think you might need a little of it from me. Continue.
And there's just something that I want to make. Like, I just really feel like in doing this, what we haven't explained to people
What's that?
is that awards for art are stupid.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing. Yeah, I think it's good that you reiterate that. And the only disagreement that I would say, the only thing that I would sort of add to that is that awards for art are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the degree, Andy,
Yeah.
that I recognize you and I have already committed to doing some programming for the Oscars this year.
Yeah.
It's going to take some talking. It's going to take some talking to get me to think about doing it again next year. Not because I don't love what we've just done. We're so good at what we do, America.
That's true.
And parts abroad. But I just it's like by even complaining this much, we're validating something that I find ridiculously stupid.
It's fair. It's a fair point.
All right, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, folks. Oscar week. Get excited for the red carpet. Until next time, we are Second Breakfast. I'm Andy Roth, and that's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Ciao.
The most important meal of the day. Second